Hey, yo, it's fight week. Frank Martin is looking swole. Frank Martin, he's looking ready for this Gervonta Davis fight. But I want to talk about a certain angle. Leave it to your boy Ego. Often imitated, but never duplicated. Ego Weight Watchers, a.k.a. EW, where I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle before, after, and progress picks, especially when they have an upcoming fight this Saturday. Be here prompt on Saturday for the Boxing Ego watch party. I'm not playing any games. I'll make sure I'm well rested for this. I've been waiting for this fight card. Great card. David Benavidez, huge fan. Tank, Frank, big fans, huge fans of them. You got Gary Antoine Russell. You got Carlos Adames versus Terrell Goucher. This is one of them ones. So Ego Weight Watchers, aka EW, where I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle. Frank Martin, you guys will see various recent pictures of Frank Martin in camp for none other than Gervonta Tank Davis. And Frank is looking brolic. He's looking massy. He's looking muscular, but he's also looking very in shape. Now, my only question is this. For starters, I don't even see how some of these fighters have because I'm pretty good with the eye test, no diddy. But I can look at the fighters and, I can kind of gauge people's weight pretty good. I've been doing it for many years. Ego Weight Watchers, you guys know, often imitated, never duplicated. I was the first to start this, and there was no other content creators doing it, right, in this space, giving you guys the fighters' weight and whatnot. So many years at this, pretty good with the eye test. And then Frank Martin, he just looked big. He looked pretty big as a lightweight. And I'm curious about that weight cut because, at certain ages, when you hit over 30 and things like that, that weight cut gets harder and harder to do. Now, Frank Martin has definitely been a professional time and time again, but pay special attention to the weight this Saturday and also the weight on Friday at the weigh-in. Because from what I've seen, Frank Martin, he has a lot of muscle mass. He almost looks like a running back, because he just looks real dense and real brolic. And I get it. Some people are just built, muscular, and they got good genetics, plus the working out. He's a gym rat and stays in shape, things like that. But I'm curious what his cut comes down from. Like, I never really heard him talk about his walk around weight, but I am very curious to see what his walk around weight would be. But he just has that kind of running back type of physique. And against a counterpuncher like Tank Davis, muscles require blood flow. You got to oxygenate the muscles. So muscles don't win fights, in general. Being in great shape can help you win a fight. But just in general, muscles couldn't slow you down if you're exhausting unnecessary energy or you're getting clipped with shots and countered. So this is going to be a really good high-speed chess match for as long as it lasts. I really, truly feel that. Both guys are explosive. Both guys kind of have, it's like Ken and Ryu. They don't fight alike, but they have certain similarities in terms of athleticism, explosive power, looking to, be patient and land that shot, make the person make a mistake, things like that. So you also get that when you see two black people fight. I feel like a lot of people talk about, a Mexican fighter versus a Puerto Rican, like the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry, or people have certain adages and, I guess you could say stereotypes about, Mexican fighters always bring the fight. But one that's slept on, I hear there's a lot of people like, Scottish fighters or Japanese fighters are tough, or warriors, or yada, yada, yada. But one of the slept on combinations is when you get two black fighters that have an American style and a level of athleticism, power, and slickness, like basically boxer puncher, not like super defensive black fighters, but the black fighters who both have an explosive athletic style. Like, that's why I said this fight reminds me of a modern day Floyd Mayweather versus Zab Judah, where I wouldn't be surprised if people have to make adjustments in this fight. You know, both fighters might have to make adjustments, but that type of fight where you have Zab Judah as a southpaw, great at what he does, speed, power. Floyd Mayweather, power, speed, surgical. And that's a slept on combination that people don't always talk about. Even a good contrast to style was Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. And I was at that fight live. So I seen that one live. And just Sean Porter's style, it meshed well because Adrian Broner, he wasn't letting his hands go when he was fighting Sean Porter. But Errol Spence chose to like hanker down and fight the style of fight that Sean Porter brings, which is a rugged, come forward, and he was in the pocket. I think Errol Spence, if he wanted to, he could have chosen to box a lot more, but he was trying to prove a point, and it just made for a very, very fun, explosive, and entertaining fight. Again, I was at that fight. So that's a style mesh that people don't always give credit to, especially the racists in boxing. They're not going to give props to two brothers fighting. And some people even said that Tank Davis avoids black fighters, and now he's taking a very dangerous out in Frank Martin. So Tank and the Tank hate continues, and Tank continues to make the haters look stupid. They said he wouldn't fight this style. He's afraid of this. To me, I think a Frank Martin is almost more dangerous than a Shakur Stevenson, or even a Devin Haney, because to me, I don't think Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson at 135, I don't think they have cracks like that. And I know initially the people hearing the big name and, oh, ego, how could he say this? But if you really know what you're looking at and you know boxing, you know styles make fights. And the fact that Shakur's a southpaw, yes, but so is Frank Martin. And Frank Martin is always in shape. He's a thinker and he's explosive with power. So that is something that Shakur Stevenson doesn't necessarily have. Shakur, can he box? Absolutely. But styles make fights, right? You look at guys like Canelo, he tried to outbox Floyd Mayweather, and you got a guy like Maidana. People would say like, oh, Canelo's way better than Maidana, but Maidana had more success with Floyd because he didn't try to box him and because he was willing to like have that I don't give a F attitude and try to bring it to Floyd's front door. So you got to understand what you're looking at and understand that styles make fight. Frank Martin, the combination of things that he does well, mixed with Tank, what he does well, we should get a good fight. And on paper, it's definitely dangerous. And I would say even more dangerous, especially than Devin Haney at 135 or Shakur at 135, because although they can box, at 135, I don't view them as like the biggest punchers. So Tank is gonna have to be switched on as long as Frank Martin is, you know, conscious basically, or as long as the fight is going, because he's shown, even in his last fight with Artem Harutyunyan, he's shown the ability to get things done in a pinch. Like Derek James was like, hey, I need to see more offense from you. What are you doing? You know? And then when Derek James said that, he cranked it up and he started hurting Artem Harutyunyan. So that's a dangerous fighter, a person who can heed the warning of the corner and actually has the power to try to change things for themselves. Like there's a lot of fighters where if they dig too deep of a hole and they're not known for this aggressive power and explosive power, then it gets to a point like round 9, 10, 11, you're not going to win the fight if you dig too deep of a hole, because barring like some kind of Hail Mary type of miracle, you don't have the power to turn things around if you dig too deep of a hole, or it's not likely if the guy has any semblance of ring IQ, defense, and a chin. Versus like, let's say John Molina versus Mickey Bey. Mickey Bey was in control of the whole fight and he was losing the whole fight, John Molina, but him having power, he was able to turn things around when Mickey Bey got careless in the 12th and final round. You can only do that if you have certain intangibles, power being one of them. So I do look at a fight with Frank Martin as, out of the black fighters that Gervonta Davis could fight, Frank Martin is one of the toughest, because the other contemporary black fighters, they don't have the power that Frank Martin possesses, right? Like I said, Devin at 135 or even 140, you know, and also Shakur Stevenson. So it's just a different type of fight. And I'm not saying they can't do good versus Tank, because Tank has certain things that he does well and certain, you know, pros and cons towards him.